In 2021, studies show that more than 45,000 people were killed by a gun. This is the highest number in many years, and the upward track is suspected to continue. Many families have lost loved ones due to gun violence. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for children and young adults in the United States. To further our understanding of why there should be more laws against gun control, we will go over the history of gun control, the issues that arise when there are laws against it, and finally the stability that laws against gun control bring. The issues facing gun control is nothing new, as the argument has been traced back to ancient Rome. Britannica says the Roman law forbid military arms from crossing the Rubicon. This law stayed true until Julius Caesar violated it when he decided to put a standing army together and assume the Emperor of Rome. This historical event led to the development of two laws, the English Bill of Rights and the United States Constitution. Both these laws had the same goal, to include provisions that would prevent the maintenance of standing armies during times of peace without the consent of the legislative branch. The United States Constitution's Second Amendment states, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." Today, the Second Amendment is still in place and guarantees an individual's right to carry firearms outside of the home for the purpose of self-defense. The issue is still ongoing today, and there are two sides to the argument. Should there be more laws restricting the use of guns, or should we let people have the freedom to use them whenever? Let's first talk about why people do not want laws restricting the use of guns. With laws prohibiting the use of guns, people are starting to feel unsafe without that option as self-defense. According to the National Rifle Association, guns are used as self-defense 2.5 million times a year. Another thing is that with all the laws against gun control, criminals still have an agenda and will find a way to get access to a gun. A Secret Service analysis taken in 2019 shows that of the 24 mass shootings, at least 42% of the guns were obtained illegally. Another big issue is the amount of suicides that happen in the United States each year. But studies show gun control laws in a lower population of those with guns do not stop the number of suicides. Britannica ProCon.org explains Japan, for example, has one of the lowest gun ownerships rate at a 0.6% of guns per 100 people and a higher suicide rate of 18.41 suicides for every 100,000 people. And finally, people believe gun control laws give too much power to the government, which could result in the government taking away all firearms. Piers Morgan, who is a journalist, writer, and broadcaster, states, "The Second Amendment was not made for duck hunting. It's there to protect us from the tyrannical government and street thugs. 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Nobody wants that to happen again, and like myself, others believe that with more laws restricting the use of guns, it will create a safer world for all." Let's be real, it's very easy to be persuaded by the tabloids and other influential sources. But I'm just giving you the facts on why the world would be safer with more laws restricting the use of guns. First, more gun laws would reduce the number of deaths in the United States each year. Britannica ProCon.org states between the years of 1999 through 2016, there were a total of 572,537 total gun deaths. 58.8% were from the suicides, 37.2% were from homicides, and the remaining 2% were from unintentional deaths. Secondly, more gun laws are needed to protect women from domestic abusers and stalkers. Britannica ProCon.org goes on to state 5 women in the United States are killed by a gun every single day. Studies show that a woman's risk of being murdered increases 500% when a gun becomes involved in a domestic dispute, which leads me right into my next point. The presence of a gun makes any situation more violent. The FBI did a study in 2013 that revealed arguments such as romantic triangles, arguments fueled by alcohol and drugs, or arguments because of money have resulted in 1,962 deaths, or 59.9% of the total deaths just in that year. And for my last point, people argue that the Second Amendment was intended to protect the rights of militias to own guns, but not the right of individuals. Former Justice John Paul Stevens, who was a lawyer and a juror for the Supreme Court of the United States, wrote, "The framers' single-minded focus in crafting the constitutional guarantee to keep and bear arms was on military use of firearms, which they revealed in the context of the service in militias." He too believed that with more laws restricting the use of guns, less people would suffer. Now that we know a little bit more about how and why the controversy of gun control arose, the problems people have with more restricting laws, and the side that's trying to improve people's safety, we can further our understanding of gun control. If you are a proactive thinker, like myself, you will realize that the world will overall be more safe with more laws prohibiting the use of guns. As a female, I am constantly concerned for my safety in any situation. With more laws restricting the use of guns, I believe that not only women, but everyone will feel like they are in a more safe environment.